Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back. I feel like I can finally start to breathe just a little bit, guys. Okay, so one, I want to start off and say thank you guys again so much for your support, your super chats, your super stickers. And if I ever miss one, I am so sorry. You guys are the best and you don't have to support our channel, this community. So I really, really, really do appreciate you guys. I love you guys and I thank you guys a lot. I'm sorry. Sometimes I look at the camera and the computer's down here and I might miss something. So that's why we have Shannon here, Jamal, Jason, everybody's in here trying to catch it. And just thank you guys for being understanding. Also, we've been going through this move this week. That's been crazy. I got my first mosquito bite and Jason gave me his computer today. So I'm using a newer computer, a better computer, and hopefully this cuts out the lag. And my fiance is trying to help me find a solution. So I really appreciate you, Jason. Love you too. And let's jump into the Real Housewives of Orange County. Okay. So Real Housewives of Orange County, season 15, episode 2. Guys, as you know, I was going to be doing a few of these recaps with DJ Richie Sky. And I talked to DJ Richie Sky and he said, hey, listen, Adam, I think it would be great to jump on with you every once in a while, but I'm not feeling Orange County. He's not a huge fan of Kelly Dodd, and I understand that. So I said, hey, we're not going to cut this out. I'm still going to keep to my OC appointments, and I'm going to do it with you guys live. So I'm really excited about that. And then maybe when Salt Lake City comes, we'll snag DJ Richie Sky a couple times to talk about that, right? All right, guys. So let's talk about how we started off this episode. And before we do, 50 in the room, everybody, if you haven't already, please hit like. It helps tremendously. And I dropped the call-in link. Okay. So we start this off with the Kelly Dodd and Shannon compilation video. And I thought this was hilarious because it really showcases their friendships, the ups and the downs, and everything that they've been going through this whole time, right? So it shows them kind of fighting and making up throughout the years. And it's kind of entertaining. These are two extreme personalities that when they get together, it's obviously not going to mesh. Now, I know that they're trying to find some sort of solution for this, but I don't necessarily think that that is the main fight this season, because what everyone wants to know about is Braunwyn and Gina and anything Braunwyn, really. That's what everyone's talking about. I know that I made the title of this video about Braunwyn has a new special friend in her modern marriage. And the reason I made that the title is because she came out and openly said that, right now she's trying to protect this new friendship, relationship, whatever you want to call it, because she doesn't want to introduce it yet, but she will hopefully eventually introduce the relationship. And she does not plan to divorce Sean. Her and Sean love each other. They're going to be together for the rest of their lives, is what Braunwyn says. But this new special friend just kind of fills a void, gives her something that maybe Sean lacks. I'm not quite sure. I understand that you can't really put these little whatever on a marriage, right? But we all have our own different ideas of marriage. But I just really feel like you start playing with fire when you start adding third parties into your relationship. But that doesn't mean that I'm closed-minded or I'm not open to the idea of Braunwyn's modern marriage, because I really am open to the idea of it, not for my own relationship, but open to the idea of trying to understand and see how this dynamic is going to work. Now, obviously, they cut the episodes this year. It was 24 or 22, whatever, to 12 episodes. And that was partially due to COVID, right? They couldn't really find enough content. And I'm wondering if that's partially the reason this whole alcohol storyline is so heightened for Braunwyn. Because honestly, if we started diving really beneath the surface and we got into what's going on in this modern day Brady Bunch of a family, I think that would be a little bit more interesting than Braunwyn's I'm an alcoholic storyline. I think that it's super unfortunate, and I think she's brave to share that storyline, but I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like we've gotten that from a few housewives before, but that doesn't make it less important, okay? All right, so then we get we get Emily and Gina. They come together and they start talking about the Tres Amigas. As we know, Vicky and Tamra, they're gone. Okay, so now there were 3 Tres Amigas. That's Tres, right? And now since Vicky and Tamara are gone, who's there to really be there for Shannon? Shannon has nobody in her corner. Now, guys, we know that Shannon Beador can be extremely dramatic. She gets excited, she screams, she cries, she yells. She's practically Darcy and Stacey in some instances. And I don't mean any shade by that, but she does a lot. And now she doesn't have her two other amigas to lean on. So when Gina and Emily get together and they have the conversation about how Shannon's really going to have to start opening up and coming out of her shell, reaching out to the other women and trying to repair things, I think they're right. Sorry, Shannon, you got to fix this. And when I say fix this, I mean, you got to start cultivating some new relationships because you're getting thrown under the bus, sister. And what I mean by that is this. So Emily tells Gina that Braunwyn is making fun of her 1,600 square foot condo. Now, guys, in California, the real estate market is insane and it's super expensive. So the fact that Gina bought a 1,600 square foot condo is amazing, actually. And Braunwyn's making fun of it because she thinks it's ridiculous. The fact that they have 6 children, her and her new boyfriend have 6 children in a 1,600 square foot condo. Now, if I were Gina, I would probably not be laughing this off. I would probably get upset about it and get sad. Hi, happy birthday, Vira. Guys, 87 in the room, please hit like. It helps tremendously. Happy birthday, Vira. But no, if I were Gina, I would be getting upset too, because even for me, like I just moved with my fiance and we bought a place a couple years back and we got it for a great price because it was a little dated. So, you know, it doesn't matter. We're going to do changes down the line, hopefully one day. But when you buy something, you're just proud that you made that step and you bought something, you know, that you're kind of staying afloat when the times are hard, especially because last year for Gina was hard. Now, when Gina makes the call to Braunwyn and she says, I hear that you've been talking about me, Braunwyn didn't hold back. She's like, yes, I have been. And Gina's like, okay, and why? Now, I wasn't aware of this at all. And I was going to have Steve from Faces by Bravo jump on with me today. But again, guys, since I'm moving, I have carpet cleaners coming. It's just complicated, but we couldn't make the time work. So hopefully next week we'll be more settled in and we'll get to have these fun special guests that get to chime in because Steve is a good friend of Braunwyn's, but I would never put him under the microscope to expose her, obviously. But when Braunwyn jumps on the phone with Gina, she says, listen, you went around and you showed Tamra something that a text from my husband and you made up lies and I want to call you out face to face. This is where I'm a little torn. So when Gina exposes the text message from Sean about when Sean put Gina in the Uber, the Lyft, the car service, whatever you want to call it, and texted her after and said, hey, we got back to the condo, wink face, Braunwyn's asleep. It's really nice getting to know you, not word for word verbatim, but kind of just that is essentially what the text message said, right? Around that. And Gina said it was creepy. Now, for Sean and Braunwyn to perceive this as not creepy kind of baffles me a little bit, only for the simple fact that you guys were so open about making this a part of your main storyline on last season, season 14 of The Real Housewives of Orange County. When you expose the fact that you have a love shack, a condo, or something like that, that you guys like to take third parties back to, and it's an anniversary gift or whatever the case is, and then your husband is texting Gina off to the side and you're not a part of that thread with winky faces talking about the condo, of course Gina's going to perceive that as a little bit creepy. Now, should Gina have went back and taken this information to Tamra? No, but that's also part of her job, and that's probably how she secured the condo, because she got another season on The Housewives because she's sharing this information. Now, Braunwyn telling Elizabeth Vargas about it and just kind of minimalizing it, this is where I think this is wrong. You can't minimalize the conflicts or things when there are receipts. So her saying, oh, Sean just texted her and said it was really nice getting to know you. Well, unfortunately, Braunwyn, now Bravo's going to expose the receipts just like they did. I know this is a different franchise, but with Hannah on Below Deck at the reunion, when they were like, Hannah, you said that was a CBD pin, right? And she's like, yes, it was. And they're like, boom, receipts. No, it's not. It's marijuana. So when you start kind of playing with fire and backtracking a little bit, you got to be careful because they stick it right in your face. They have no problem. They just throw it right up there, and it is what it is. Moving on, though, actually, we have a caller, so I'm going to hear what she has to say about this. Hi, V.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So do you have an opinion on any of this so far?
Yeah, actually, I do. The
Okay.
whole Braunwyn The whole Braunwyn husband situation and Gina, like, I can see where it can be perceived as disrespectful, or like how Gina could have perceived it wrong. But I can also see where he could have been just like reaching out to just, say, hey, all that good stuff. And I could see both the ways about it. But instead of
The
actually bringing it up to Bronwyn and going back to Elizabeth Lynn, it's just kind of,
Now it's getting messy.
it's getting messy. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's getting messy, and it's like, now you want to start something, so you can't tell Braunwyn, oh, why didn't you sit down with me, when you could have been like, okay, why didn't you come and tell me that my husband sent you this?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, and now though, this is the thing too, where Bronwyn has to kind of just pick a lane at this point, because she wants to be and whether she wants to or not, she's making herself the poster child for this new modern day marriage, because we don't see a whole lot of this on Bravo right now. So she's kind of opening up these gates and showing us, hey, marriage doesn't have to be so traditional, and this is what my husband and I are doing. Now she said that she has a new special friend, and she hasn't exposed said special friend, but I know who we're talking about. I'm curious, from what you think, do you think the special friend is a man or a woman?
I watched your live the other day, and you brought up the fact that it was a host. I'm sorry to expose you again, but you brought up the whole picture and leg thing. So when I saw that on Instagram yesterday, I was like, oh my God, Adam was so right. Like, he had a hunch, and you were right. I think that's what it is. It's a woman, and it's the lady that she had her arm around her leg. And you said it would get messy, and we know it's going to. So, I mean, at least she's secure. She's already securing her storyline for next season.
Oh yeah, and she's a shoo-in already, because whether she didn't even need to give us the alcohol. That's what I was trying to say. It's not. I'm not trying to disrespect her having an alcohol problem or anything like that, or trying to dismiss it or make it less of a storyline. We've seen this so many times with so many housewives, and really, you're hiding a third party in your marriage back there. And I know eventually she's going to share it with us, but that would be more of an interesting storyline to me than my name's Braunwyn and I feel like I'm an alcoholic.
I honestly think it's just like gonna go like by pattern, you know what I mean? Like, it's just gonna be like, okay, we're gonna talk about this storyline now, and then we'll bring up the whole marriage problems, and then we're gonna bring up the girlfriend coming into the picture, and this is it's gonna it's gonna play itself out.
Right. Okay. So then, that's fair. So then, no, V, that makes sense. That makes sense, because right now we see her struggling a whole lot, and almost like Sean doesn't understand her. Right? You watched the episode.
Yeah. I saw the episode.
Okay. Did you see where she's sitting down and it's Valentine's, and she's sitting there, and she asked him, she's like, why did you let me get this far? Or how did you let me get this far? And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, well, that's not fair. We got to have you have to have some sort of accountability. And I know she's holding herself accountable.
That's true.
But I don't know.
But then she also said he was the one that picked her up, and was the taking. So they had a codependent relationship. I don't know if you caught that, but she did basically say that. So I guess that's probably why she asked him that, because they basically have a codependent relationship. She would fall, and he would be the one to pick her up, and she expected that from him, and she didn't expect him to come and say, hey, you need to slow down. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you. So now I think my next question is, since we have this hunch of who the third party special new friend could be, do you think, because we're watching where Braunwyn is telling Shannon, she's telling Sean, she's telling people, don't not have a drink around me because that makes it worse. What I'm guessing here is maybe she found somebody who, almost like she said, Captain Sandy helped her get through this sobriety thing and helped her kind of talk to her about this. I'm wondering if this new special friend might be sober, and she might be that woman who may have a different outlook on life that doesn't or has never included alcohol. You know what I mean? So she might be showing Braunwyn a whole new way of enjoying life without having to party to do so. And that could be what she's getting from her.
Yeah, I can see that completely. I can see all of that. But for some reason, you have like this perspective on things, and I'm like, you have an insight on it. I'm pretty sure of it.
Well, hey, I'll keep you around, but I'll never give up any sources. But V, since I do still have you on the phone and you watch the episode, so I just want to keep picking your brain if you don't mind, because there's some other things on my mind that I'm just trying to understand. But I do agree with what you just said. When you said, I think that we're attacking this part of Braunwyn's storyline first, and then things are going to play themselves out. What I was trying to say there was, us watching her go home last night in the episode and cry after meeting up with Elizabeth and finding out that both of their parents had alcohol abuse problems. You could tell even Sean hugging her, there's not that for her. She's like, you don't understand. And I can see where that can now roll into finding somebody who potentially does understand. And then that's where we eventually get introduced to the third party. So I just want to say I agree with you.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Right. And then so I'm curious also, now going back to the Gina thing, Gina, sure, Gina should have went to Braunwyn first with the text. But now, what do you think about Braunwyn talking about the 1,600 square foot condo that Gina bought with her own money?
I think it's just
it's being petty.
Disrespectful. Like, you have to understand. Yes, it's so petty. It's like, come on. Yes, you can run around a million bazillion square foot house that has a pirate ship in the background, but everyone can't live like you, and you know what she's going through. You know that the fact that she's going through a divorce, and her husband was the main breadwinner, and it's easy for her as it is for you. So you shouldn't look down on someone because of what they have. I always say treat the janitor the same way you'll treat the CEO. So it's just my take on it all.
I'm gonna steal that from you. I like that.
Oh no.
No.
I can't hear you. I hope you can hear me. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No. Can you drop me? I can't hear you. I can read your lips.
Oh. Hey, Dana, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. V, just try calling back up, and then I'm just glad that you guys can hear me. 161 in the room. Please hit like. It helps tremendously. Hi, Dana. How are you? Can I tell you something? I had a comment about you.
What?
Someone said that you have a voice that sounds like, I don't want to butcher this. Maybe they said Grace Kelly. I have to go back and look in the comments, but I did have a comment about you, and then people were like, "I love Dana," and I was like, "Wow, I love Dana too."
Oh, I think Nancy Grace because
Nancy Grace. I said that. I'm sorry. My head is like, I'm sorry.
It's a Southern thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought Grace Kelly. I wish.
Okay, Nancy Grace. That's what it was. Okay, sorry, I butchered that. I apologize. Okay.
You look like you got some rest. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I did. And Jason and I, we went on a walk on the beach this morning. We took the dogs. It was fun. So I'm getting there. I feel a little bit better. Each day is getting easier. And I'm just trying to get settled in and have the equipment work, no lag. And I just don't want to disappoint anybody who's watching. So I carry it really heavy,
Yeah, you don't disappoint anybody.
Wow. Thank you, Dana.
Some things that my head was spinning when I was watching. There's a few things that I noticed with Braunwyn.
Okay.
The whole alcohol, yes, a lot of it can be inherited. The whole alcohol thing with Braunwyn, yes, she has an alcoholic father that passed away. She has the dynamics with her mom that have always been complicated and complex because her mom is great in a lot of ways, but her mom is narcissistic in a lot of ways, even though she does what she does. What does her mom do now? Like life coaching and exercise and health stuff and just like all over the place.
Right.
She's a doctor now.
Right. And carry on because I can't wait to piggyback off this.
But they've always sort of been like a love-hate. They bump heads. But I get the feeling Braunwyn has never felt like she met up to her mom's expectation or pleased her mom or whatever. So there's always been that thing with Braunwyn, not being able to really connect with her mom. So you have that complication as well. And also, I feel like even though she married her husband and there has been love there and the wanting of family and children, all these dynamics and the love shack and pulling other people in goes much, much deeper, because I feel like all along, from years and years ago, Braunwyn has struggled with her sexuality. And because of the time and place that she grew up in, she never felt like she could come forward or admit it to herself because of all the chaotic dynamics that she was growing up in already. She never felt accepted as it was. So to throw that into the pot would just be another thing for her to carry on her back. So the alcohol was a way to self-medicate all of these years.
I have a theory too.
So now that she's not drinking, it's like she has to stare all of the stuff in the face, and she loves her husband, but not in the way she needs to or wants to or expected to. So there's that disconnect now.
That's interesting. First of all, I want to say thank you, Robin, for the super sticker. And also thank you, Hermione. I appreciate you both for the super stickers. And I want to say to you, Dana, I think that's interesting. And as far as I agree with you, I feel like a lot of it, though, a lot of the kind of angst between her and her mom, though, stems from, I think Braunwyn was passed around a little bit as a kid. I think, she addressed this a little bit, but I think she was kind of everybody else, but the mom was really taking care of her. And I think that she holds that a little bit of animosity there for them.
But that comes from the mom's narcissism that I spoke of earlier.
But why do you find, so what, just for anyone who's not understanding the narcissism base of your comment, I guess, why do you feel like the mom would be a narcissist?
Well, I mean, I feel like she has some good qualities, but I feel like that a lot of the good that she does comes from the need for attention.
So
for accolades, and she did a lot of she played in bands, and she did this and she did that and the other, and would say, well, it's because I want to do this for my child, or make a name for myself, or, get a gig or be famous or whatever. And she needed that rush and that popularity and that attention on her.
Right.
She needed to focus on herself.
Do you feel like someone this isn't, please, I'm not attacking anybody or anybody's looks. But do you feel like you can go around and dress, and this is just something that I've always wondered since school. You know how a lot of times you'll have different cliques in school, and sometimes some of the kids might be a part of like that kind of punk rock, or maybe a little bit of a gothic clique where they will have everything up the arm and like the big gauges and like bright green backpacks with spikes. And they always say like, we don't care what you think and this and that. But doesn't it, I always wondered in my head, because I, in high school, would want to fly under the radar and not have anybody pay attention to me. But I would just dress kind of
subdued.
Yeah. And I wouldn't scream out for that kind of attention. Do you get what I'm saying? And I'm wondering, is there the possibility of somebody like Mama Deb who dresses up and it's very over the top.
Yeah.
Can that person exist without being a narcissist?
Well, her mom dressed, when her mom got married, I don't know how many times she's been married. I want to say it's been a couple of times, but whatever the last time was that she was married, she was dressed more like the women like LVP.
Right.
Until she hit, 40-ish.
And then she went to Burning Man, and then it was all over. And
then the dreads and the color and the crazy and all of that stuff.
Mama Deb came to life.
Yeah, because she really wanted to be noticed and look younger and get the attention again.
Okay.
So,
well,
you can want to, if you're in a real spiritual journey and you're trying to find your own way. I mean, I've seen people with the dreads and all of that stuff that are living off the land and they may be living with the least money possible.
Right.
And that's just their thing. And it's not attention seeking.
Exactly. No, yeah. I mean, you can, exactly. Yes. They're definitely, yes. I understand that. I do want to shift this really quick from Mama Deb to Shannon Bedore. We see Shannon this year, and I don't know how you feel about her. Are you a fan or no?
Yeah, I mean, I like Shannon. Sometimes when she went on the rant when she was first divorced, I wanted to pop her one, but when she was constantly whining and crying and carrying on
about only getting $30,000 a month.
Well, that and she just, you couldn't satisfy her. It was just constant neediness.
Sherry Bowman said, "Thank you, Sherry Bowman, for the super sticker. I give Braunwyn props for doing her alcohol problem on camera.
Yeah.
I also wonder if it's the third person in her marriage that's pushing for her to deal with her problem." Sherry, from my insight, the little bit of insight that I do have, I feel as though this person came later after they started filming, but I don't know everything. So you could be right. Okay, so Dana, what I wanted to ask you about Shannon, and then I'll bring up some other callers with us here in a minute. Guys, 218 in the room, please hit like if you haven't already. Okay, so what I wanted to ask you about Shannon is we know that she got $1.4 million from her divorce with David Bedore. Now she's starting a new company called Real for Real, and she has her new boyfriend's daughter joining in on it. Do you feel like this is going to be a success for Shannon? Or do you feel like it's going to end up going the same way that QVC did for her?
Is that makeup? I mean, I couldn't figure out what it was exactly.
I was trying, I didn't even look it up after. I was trying to say, it's obviously going to be something that's chemical free, organic. Yes, I think it's something for
or skincare.
Yeah, I think it's skincare. I'll have to, somebody in the comments will go through and scream it out right now. Go ahead, guys.
I mean, I heard her talking about matte finish and stuff like that. But
yeah, that was for the bottle. But no, it's
okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be something. Shannon is a boo-hoo, oh poor me type of person. But other than that, she's great. Wow, Gina. Okay.
She's banking on it to work. I mean, I know that they've given their well, no, it's not necessarily bad for the daughter to work in it because she's taking orders, but I know they're giving their opinion in it. I know she's banking on it to work because she's putting the last of her money into it, or it sounds like it.
Right.
So,
well, I do want to say one thing too, just because, I think Gina, because we know that she didn't get anything in her divorce. I think it's funny because Braunwyn's sitting there talking about her as if like investing into a 1,600,000 square foot condo in Orange County is like a bad investment. That's actually an amazing investment.
Yeah.
She can make a lot of money off of it. But I want to switch the conversation back over to her for a second because Shannon, we know her a lot for being dramatic, and she cries a lot on camera. She does. She screams and cries, and that's just what we see. So I'm not bashing her, but I think it's interesting that we're getting this side from Gina, who she's gotten the DUI. Her husband's kind of raked her through the mud. She's had a lot of these issues play out, and she's come on the screen a few pounds heavier, which she's letting us know, this obviously we're all watching the same thing, and she's calling it her happy diet. What I want to say really quick about Gina is I was really wondering why the producers or Bravo brought her back to the Real Housewives of Orange County, because I just don't see what she has to offer that much. But what I wanted to point out was her attitude for the way that people are talking about her condo, the way that, her coming on the screen and being a few pounds heavier and calling it her happy diet. She's in positive mode, and they can say whatever they want about her, but you can tell she's happy. And that was good to see her happy.
Well, I think that right now, they've already chopped a lot of blood out of the group. So to take one more person out of it would be too heavy because it does feel kind of wonky right now to me.
Right.
Even though, I was ready for them to go. Tamara and Vicky,
Do you think that's going to, like what Emily said, that's going to allow Shannon to start kind of making new relationships with the girls, and maybe she'll even be friends with Emily eventually?
I mean, she's gonna have to, or it really is gonna be uno amigo.
Yeah, and she'll get the boot.
Her against them. But with Gina right now, I think she's relatable to us common folk.
Right.
Because she doesn't have a lot of money. She had to get the condo on her own. She's gained a few extra pounds. She's happy and she's unapologetic about the few extra pounds and the small place that she's living in.
Yeah.
And having to struggle to do it on her own.
Good for her. I wish I had that confidence to just go out in the world and just be like, pee off, you know? Like, it's my happy weight. I love that. I'm going to go around and start saying that.
And as far as that text that she got from Braunwyn's husband,
okay.
in my opinion, the drunk little text, I think he was testing the waters to see how she would respond to it.
I think so too. I think that's why I tried saying at the very beginning, and I'm going to bring on another opinion on here too. Guys, let's remember to keep it clean, but I'm going to bring on another opinion. I just don't see how anybody can perceive this as not being that when that was a big part of Braunwyn and Sean's storyline. The love shack, the condo that they bring people back to, and then all of a sudden it's mentioned in the text, and Braunwyn really wants everybody to perceive this as like, that's just so innocent. He's just being a nice guy. I can't see how she doesn't see what Gina sees. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Braunwyn's freaked because Gina and Braunwyn have had that tension.
Oh, yeah. And I'm excited about seeing her at Shannon's party because she's going to freak out when Gina snaps on her finally because, you know, again, this is a buildup. We're going to get the snap because she's taking the hit for the 1,600 square foot condo, taking the hit from the ex-husband, taking the hit because she's waiting for somebody to call her out on her weight, which will probably be Kelly Dodd when she gets drunk.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she is taking all these hits, and finally there's going to be that buildup, which we know is coming next week, where she finally snaps on Braunwyn. And that, honestly, that I like Braunwyn. I just feel like Braunwyn kind of has it coming.
And Braunwyn admitted that it was a dig.
Yeah, she owns it. Let's bring on another opinion. Hi, Dee.
Hi, how are you guys?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I'm good. I look horrible, so that's why I'm using my avatar today. I apologize.
I'm sure you don't look horrible.
No, I really do.
I'll mess up my hair for you if you want to.
Oh, yeah. No, you look great. Don't mess up your hair because I look a hot mess. Don't do that.
Girl, I'm with you today.
You look beautiful, Dana.
Girl, I'm with you today.
I love it. I love it.
So, Dee, what are we feeling?
You know what I think the problem is with OC? There's not a likable anchor in the show anymore, someone that you really love, and then there's not a villain that you love to hate. So it's just kind of in this middle phase. It's kind of lukewarm. I don't really love the characters. I don't hate the characters. It's just, like in Beverly Hills, so many people love to hate Kyle right now, or they didn't really like Teddy, but we love Lisa. So you keep tuning in.
Right.
We don't really have that. It kind of feels like Braunwyn is going to be the anchor of the show now because she's the most relatable or the most real, which I'm not minding. I kind of like Braunwyn this season a lot more than I did last season.
Yeah, and I do have to say though, I mean, honestly, first of all, I've talked to Braunwyn a few times and she's always super sweet. I think she's a fantastic person. I think she's just great. And I think that it's a lot to put out there to be this honest when you have a lot of kids who still have to go to school. They're going to get scrutinized for this. It's very brave of the family. Like this season, we're going to see her son, who's still in school, dress up in drag, and we're going to see these moments that can very easily be ripped at by people who don't necessarily understand because it's not the norm. So I just got to give it to Braunwyn. She has a lot of dimension, and I find it to be more interesting than Shannon starting Real for Real or Gina. And I love that she's happy, but Gina and the happy diet or the 1,600 square foot condo, that's just not that interesting. I'm just happy for her. I don't feel like I'm like excited to hear more about it. I'm just happy. So yeah, Braunwyn, aside from Kelly Dodd, is the only one.
Oh God, Kelly. Kelly is such a mess. I can't figure Kelly out. I really can't. She she's just controversial on purpose, it seems. But her fiance, or well, I guess it's now her husband,
Rick Levin.
He seemed relatively normal for what we've seen so far. I mean, I don't know.
Makes you go,
Yeah, it does. It does make you go, But she's whatever right now. I'm not really feeling her or not. And then the new girl.
I was just going to ask you, we're talking about all the cast members, but what about Elizabeth Lynn Vargas, who actually, I just want to say, I think it was Andrea O who came on here. I'm really getting good with names and everything. I love this. I have like a little family on here. But, and I just heard Jason, by the way, I heard him in the other room just pop champagne. I heard that, and you better save me a glass. But Andrea O said, Elizabeth Vargas, why is her last name Vargas? She must be part Spanish. And I was like, I don't know if she is. I said, she just kind of, and this is, don't judge a book by its cover, but she said she's from Montana, from a farm. And she, to me, just looked kind of like that farm, white girl. And that's like, like when I grew up in Chattanooga, I came from, or not grew up in Chattanooga, but when I moved to Chattanooga from South Florida, I showed up and I was so tan because I lived closer to the beach, and everyone immediately thought that I was Hispanic, and they did no different variations of Hispanic. They just grouped it all under being Mexican. And I was like, what in the Dad, where did you just bring me? I ignorantly did the same thing to Elizabeth Lynn Vargas. I ignorantly just was like, oh no, she's like, I just think that she's not, I don't know where the last name comes from. And she's not, she's half German, half Mexican. So I think it's really exciting.
Is she from Montana? I live in Montana, so I didn't catch that she was from Montana. That's interesting.
Yeah, I believe, unless somebody can totally correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she said she was from a small town. She grew up in Montana. Her dad was a pastor. They moved around a lot. They lived in trailers. They didn't have a whole lot of money. And then of course she married, obviously she married into the bank, which is obvious.
I hear that she started some fights this season. Have you heard that, Dina? That she kind of doesn't. That the producers told her that she had to calm down a bit. That she kind of goes off on the girls.
I heard that way before the season started. That her reputation was of someone that had a tendency to drink and go off.
Well, you can see already that she's not shy to interject, which is kind of fun. Like, even when she's like, what did she, I just wrote it, her boyfriend, Jimmy, when she was like, I won't take that in the face, but I'll take something else in the face at the kid's birthday party. And she's like, sorry, Jimmy, I meant champagne. And you could tell, like, and when Braunwyn was on FaceTime and she was talking with Emily and she's like, yeah, is Gina going to be there, when she was shopping with Elizabeth, and Elizabeth jumps in again. Elizabeth is not going to have a problem jumping in. And the rumor that I heard originally was she was brought on by Kelly Dodd and that she was coming off a little bit more aggressive, but then finally they had to tell her to tone it down. But then when I asked Steve, who I brought on a few times, again, he was supposed to come on with me today, but scheduling is my fault. When I talked to Steve about it, he's like, I've met Elizabeth multiple times and I never got that vibe. And from what I know, I don't believe she's going to be aggressive. So I'm wondering if that was just all rumor.
I read a couple of things about her prior because I was trying to match the face with the name, because I was thinking it was another previous news reporter.
Me too.
One that had darker, shorter hair.
Right.
And so when I saw it, they did say that she had some issues with drinking and outbursts. So I don't know if she'll do it on the show or not. We'll just have to see.
Well, let's bring on another opinion here. Hi, Ablavi.
Hello, Ablavi.
Hi, Ablavi.
Good.
Oh, I know that. Okay, Ablavi, I know you're about to go in.
that look was
we feel it. So before you do, I just want to say thank you, Jamie, for the super sticker. I really appreciate you. Love you. We have 247 in the room. Everyone, please hit like. Let's try to see if we can hit 300 and get ready because Ablavi is about to roast. Now,
no, I'm going to be nice.
Take the floor.
I do like the new girl, though. I think she brings something different in a new way. But why I called in is because I wanted to ask something. So there's something in the Housewives I've never understood.
Okay.
So in the Housewives, there's always this like I would say like Mean Girls vibe. Like there's one head girl, and then all the other girls try to vie for that one girl's attention. I didn't grow up like that in high school. Like I didn't have cliques. So for me, I don't understand why you would just stand behind one person and want to be one person's friend. Like for instance, in Potomac, it's Giselle. For OC, it was, I won't say it was Vicky, it was the other girl, Lori. And then it was Heather. I don't know who it is now. It was Tamara for a while.
Beverly Hills.
Tamara, for sure, Tamara.
Yeah.
And it's still Tamara. That's the other thing. Tamara her name was mentioned all over the place.
Yeah.
I really feel, I'm bad, sorry. I really do feel like she's coming back because one, for someone who's not a part of it, they're mentioning her a lot. And then two, they're showing the little inserts of her. And we just saw where Braunwyn posted on October 8th. And I hate that I know that. That just makes me sound like a psychopath. But and it's not in my notes. My makeshift notes, guys. I don't know where I am right now. But Braunwyn posted a photo October 8th with Tamara. And I'm like, they're done filming, So obviously, are we gearing up to see what relationships are forming before we pick up filming for next season? Because I heard that they've already started filming again for Beverly Hills, and a lot like Bravo has to make up for the time that they lost. So I'm sure all of these shows are like going to be boom, boom, boom. Let's rush them out.
But do you think, like, what is that? Like, because I didn't grow up with that in high school, so I don't understand why is one central girl.
Because it creates a dynamic. It's almost like you're adding like a leader to the wolf pack, and then you're gonna have part of the wolf pack. It's almost like, think about the Lion King. There's somebody leading the whole pack, right? And then you have a Scar who wants to take out Mufasa because he's like, no, I want to be the main guy. You know what I mean? But then Scar has his little minions over here, like planning how we're gonna take out the head HBIC, and that's exactly how Housewives is. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. They're trying to act like they're all friends, but really they're all ripping each other down for a sport. It's kind of a sick game, but maybe we're more sick for watching it. I don't know.
But Blavi, I'm thinking, they get paid money, and all of them are trying to fend like dogs in heat to stay on that show. And the one that's been on there the longest with the most power, like the OG, if you think about it, every show has the OG, right?
Right.
So that they all kiss her booty and follow her lead. And when she drops off, they kiss the next one in line.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
That's what happened with Kyle Richards. Everybody knows Beverly Hills. Kyle Richards, you have to be on her side. If you're not on her side, you're probably not going to be a part of the show. I don't know how long that's going to last. I feel like Kyle's starting to get a little bit phased out and boring too. But I mean, I don't know.
But the problem is they're not bringing a new queen who's even better. That's the problem with Bravo. They need, particularly in OC, I would really like somebody that's a bit different. I know that they don't like, I know that women that work in our high profile, it'll be harder to get, but they need just somebody who's different. I mean, like when you look at OC, it's all the same. And no, I don't want like a minority thrown in. I think that this is the problem with New York too. They really need to see what is around in the OC and pick people who would make a dynamic group, because there's got to be more interesting women in the OC than this.
With quality.
Yeah. I think this is hard. Oh, I'm sorry, Dana.
I just want to see somebody with quality and something really with dynamics going on in their own life where they don't have to create it with the other women.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the problem is women like that we probably want to see don't want to be on a show like this because it will diminish their reputation. But there's got to be some like young housewives that are married to some executive that want to be on TV.
I don't want young though. I don't want young, because when you have young, it gives people this perception everybody's lived like this. I enjoy
and it's like,
yeah. And it's going to be like, oh, she was on TikTok saying this, and they're going to say crazy things, and they're going to tell the whole thing on Instagram Live. I want somebody in 45, even 65 range.
I think though, Ablabi, I kind of agree with D. I feel like, some of the people, the people that you're talking about, once you're at that level, a lot of people really don't want to put themselves on a show like this, because you have to think about it. When I was watching the flashback last night, in last night's episode, even where the stripper is like bouncing Emily up and down on his lap, I'm thinking about her husband, who's Mormon. And I'm just sure he just freaked watching that. And then I'm thinking about how Sean feels because Braunwyn is putting this all out there. And, there are people who are going to think that he is not a good husband because they're going to think that he's not supporting her or giving her everything she needs. And that's why she's looking for other avenues out of the relationship. And, every single wife that comes on, their husband gets put in the line of fire too. It's not just the wife. So I think if you have a woman who is a housewife with some high-powered executive or something, and that guy might, just like it, for example, remember Tamara's husband at the very beginning? That guy was
what did he do though? Like, I didn't know what Simon's job was.
I don't remember, but do you remember? I'm not quite sure, but he was a jerk. He was a big, like, I don't know.
But no, we've seen that's not true. Because when Ladies of London, I felt like that was the best cast they had. They just did not know how to use that cast. Because the atmosphere is different. And we can't do a show like we do here over there.
Who was the HBIC of Ladies of London?
Oh, that blonde girl with the medium short hair that's moving to New York. That the rumor is she's going to be on the New York cast. I can't remember her name.
Caroline Stanberry, I love her.
I love her.
Yeah, I did her podcast, Divorced Not Dead, and I exposed my whole family life. And I'm sorry, family.
No, but not just that. They had but that show, even though they were followers, they had a lot of people who had an opinion. They had a lot of people who are just not going to go with the flow. They had a lot of people who were, brought, like I've always said, a show is like a cake. Everybody brings their special ingredient. The problem with OC is nobody's bringing an ingredient. That's
exactly. I think OC, this is probably going to be like the last maybe 2 more seasons of OC, and they're going to have to start retiring shows. Yeah. I mean, you can only have a show on for so long, and the ratings aren't that great. And Salt Lake is coming up soon.
Oh, Salt Lake is going to be a banger.
Potomac is doing well, and
a lot of people think
seasons is that's a good long run. Well, I wouldn't be sad to see it go.
OC is they keep OC around almost like it's like the flagship of what started everything, but I don't really feel like that. I don't feel like Bravo feels like if they have to cut OC out that they're failing. I feel like they can easily gracefully bow them out and be like, you know what, 15 seasons, it was a great run.
I agree. They'll probably try to go to Texas next. They're
in Dallas.
Boring.
Oh, that's right. They already have Texas. Yeah, they have. Yeah, you're right.
But oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Dallas needs to be canceled like Miami was canceled. I am tired of, they've gotten too long. I don't care what happens on that show. It's too boring. They waited too long. One boring season is fine.
Blobby, I have a theory. Guys, 285 in the room, hit like. I think my theory is, Blobby, why you think Ladies of London works so well is because Ladies of London has that. Oh, let me see if I'm going to mute some of these really quick because I hear some flack. And then I'll unmute them. It has that. Sorry, I was just getting a little bit of flack back. But Ladies of London has kind of that dynamic where they grow up in these social settings where people are telling them how to be or what to do or how to kind of like grow up. They know, they're guided. They've grown up in a high society where ever since they were little, they were taught how to be a certain way. And I think in America, you hear more often than not from a lot of parents, there's no really handbook on how to raise children. It just kind of is what it is. I don't think we have the same social norms as across the pond, so to say. That's what I'm trying to say. But you could totally disagree with me.
Well, that show was canceled, but I did enjoy it. But they had titles. Some of them had titles under their name. We're talking about like real money.
One was borderline. The Caroline Fleming, she was borderline a princess of like
exactly.
Or something.
Right.
And then one was with the Earl of Sandwich and one was like, I just think that they're where they grow up aside from the few American ones. Because if you notice, actually, Bobby, do you remember when they added the Americans in to Ladies of London and it changed the dynamic because the Ladies of London are like, these women don't even know how to act.
Exactly. Yeah, because we have a different.
The problem, but see, that's a cop out because there's a lot of people who don't have money who can behave. I don't agree with that because just because you don't change because you have money, just because you have money, people think you change. So no, if you're trash without money, you're going to be trash with money. No,
right.
That's a cop out.
Oh, it'd be worse with the money. If you're trash before it, you're going to be even worse because now you have unlimited options. I mean, money gives you freedom. So if you had a kind of a negative attitude before you had money, imagine with money, because now you can really do whatever you want now.
Well, let me use this as an example for you really quick, only because I love her and I think she's a great person I can use. Caroline Stanbury was she was the main woman on Ladies of London who they kind of followed, right? If you think of Ladies of London, you guys just said the blonde with the short hair, whatever the case is. Now, she grew up with a certain set of rules and ways of being as she was brought up in, it's not called a private, it's called boarding school, right?
Yeah.
So when I did the podcast with her, she explained to me that she felt like her teachers in boarding school her whole life brought her up and raised her. Now, if you guys watched her on Ladies of London, she could snap like a firecracker and she would rip your head off and she would do it in the most tasteful way. And she'd be like, just kind of like pee off, but it was always with class. Now take that same personality, say that she was adopted out to America, wouldn't have grown up in that boarding school. And maybe she grew up in your everyday home, just at a public school in, let's say, South Florida and Fort Lauderdale. She might not have been able to control the way that she bursts out or acts or handles people the same way because she didn't grow up with somebody telling her how to be her whole life. And I feel like I know it sounds like an excuse, but for the Ladies of London, that's all I'm trying to say is I think over there they grow up with somebody just coaching them their whole upbringing of how to be all the time a certain way. The fork goes here, this goes here. And I understand that in America, we have parents who teach us how to grow up and be proper adults, but I just don't know if it's as tough. And I think that's what the difference is.
I've made a statement to my family before that I watch all the Housewives episodes. Well, I don't watch every episode, but the different housewives, and they now spend more time yelling and screaming and fighting and now getting physical than I have ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have those kind of encounters with people in my life. And you would think them being with more money and more experiences than most of us get, that they would hold themselves to higher standards and at least learn how to fight intelligently without the screaming and yelling and being physical.
Well, and I have to be honest with you, Potomac was one of probably the rawest reels of footage that we had from a fight on Bravo. I know that some people said, I think it was like Married to Medicine or something else. There was another fight that was really bad. Yeah, but I'm saying like Bravo, like usually back in I want to say at least 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago, we would always be like, no, don't do that. And you would see the person go like this and it would black out. And then it would go to a confessional of one of the other wives being like, that shouldn't have happened. And then all we hear is the back and forth of what everyone says that happened at the reunion, but we never get to see the real footage. So I was really shocked that Bravo gave us raw footage.
Yeah, I think they're definitely exposing more, and we're seeing producers now, and that's interesting. I don't like the violence. I don't like seeing that at all.
It's uncomfortable for sure.
I would like
that. And it feels very much like other shows that I don't watch.
Like Bad Girls Club or Mob Wives or
some of those type of shows.
Shawshank Sunset.
You know what housewife show I did like, and I don't even know if it's on anymore, was The Real Housewives of Australia. Did you guys watch that?
No.
I've never seen it.
No, I always have someone. I think it's Grandma Scary who's always pushing me to watch that. Is it Johannesburg?
Hermia.
Are you talking about Johannesburg?
No, Australia.
What's the city?
I think it wasn't just called, what was it, Sydney? Where are they based?
Real Housewives of Sydney?
Yeah, could have been.
Okay.
Yeah, it was good. They had it on years ago on Bravo. They would just show it randomly. But that was a really good show. And they had women that had careers, and they still had like the drama and the conflict and everything. Oh, Melbourne. Thank you, Jamal.
Melbourne.
It was The Real Housewives of Melbourne.
Wow, everyone
knows everything. Jamal's on it. It was really, really good. And I don't know what happened to it, if it's still on or not. But if you have
this show is a business now. So the problem is with these housewives, they have to start picking people who know each other more. Because when they get into conflict and stuff, it's like, do you know each other? And then when you see the confessionals, it's like, but you're friends.
Yeah, not anymore.
I just don't think. I think Andy should hire me, and we have some good seasons.
Well,
I'm for it. Let's do a change.org or petition to put a Which franchise would you want to be on?
Ablavi would fire all of the housewives. We can't put Ablavi in there. She'll cancel the show. She'll change the network, and she'll fire the wives.
No, I would change New York. I would take off. You know what I would do with Dallas? I saw a show that I like in Dallas. It's called Making a Cowboys Cheerleader. And I said that woman would be good on the Real Housewives of Dallas. You have to pick people who are already in the reality show game, just at a lower level. That's how you got to do it.
You know, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, and I always use that phrase, but that was one of the reasons that VPR was originally so successful, is because they started with with the cast who they had been friends for 5-10 years before that. So it does make a difference when you start throwing in people like this Elizabeth girl who's like, yeah, it was Kelly's neighbor and hi, nice to meet you. It's like, I don't know you. So now we feel like now we're getting to know the new wife. The new wife is getting to know the new other wives. Like it seems like a lot of new, as opposed to like, oh, who's this woman and how does she know everybody who they just brought in? And she just comes in and she immediately has that confidence because she knows everybody in the room. Almost like what Elise Slane should have had on New York, but it's just she's not that type of personality. But she should have came on and ripped Ramona's head off because she's known the women for a long time and she knew Bethany and Jill before they even started filming New York. So
Brandy on Real Housewives of Dallas is not interesting. I wish she
was a Dallas cheerleader.
She is, but when you go on that show, they've had like 14 seasons. They have so many more girls on that show. I'm telling you, when I was watching that show and binging it, I was like, oh, I was picking girls out from every season. I wonder who she married.
Ablavi's applying to casting. Well.
Do you think if I send them a casting thing, I'll do it, and let's see if they take at it.
And if you get it, let us know because then.
That was another one.
All right.
Remember that show, Big Rich Texas?
Yeah.
That show was hilarious. There's a few girls on that show. They like because I feel like Miami and Dallas are two places they really haven't gotten reality shows right yet. You know.
Right. No, my fiance said that. I always say that. You guys know who he is now. But Jason always says that too. He's like, they should bring like Miami back or do Palm Beach or do something down here and just maybe like revamp it because it just seems like they didn't have the right cast because it's like Miami is a beautiful spot and it's interesting. It's metropolitan. There's a lot going on there, you know? So it's not that Miami is not interesting. It's those wives weren't interesting, you know? And honestly, if you put the wrong wives, like Orange County is not, I've been to Orange County many times. It's not interesting. It just, they make it not interesting. So it really does depend on casting. So Ablavi for casting, just don't fire all of Bravo. Okay.
LVP was like one of the most interesting and watchable housewives ever.
Yeah.
She was funny. She was quick-witted. She could get you with a smile on her face and it would be funny at the same time. And she didn't have to yell and scream and carry on constantly.
Yeah, she was a casting gold mine. I think those opportunities are few and far in between, unfortunately.
No, they're not. Because with wealthy women, a lot of them like to show off their money, particularly ones who maybe are a housewife or maybe haven't achieved with their husband. They want to get out of their husband's shadow. Andy just needs to pick. See, the problem is the casting directors. It's not even the people on the show. Because what they're doing is they're trying to go with work 10 years ago. No, you can't do that anymore. You want that new generation.
We gotta elevate. We gotta grow with the times. Yeah. No, that makes sense. So Ablavi, Dana, D, we just got to our 59 minutes. We're wrapping up our hour. I almost feel like that show next where you say it's 59 minutes or you can take the $59 or go on a second date with me. But we will all be going on another date. So before we go, can we at least just say something that we're looking forward to seeing really quick from next week's episode? And we know Braunwyn snaps next week. And I will start with you, Dana.
I would just like to see Well, she's already become a little vulnerable. I would like to see more about Vargas.
Yeah.
Actually, because I don't think I know enough yet.
Okay, so Elizabeth Lynn Vargas. All right. Dee?
I definitely want to see more of Braunwyn's journey with the sobriety and how that affects the relationship within the group. I think that's going to be really interesting to watch.
Okay. All right. And then a Blobby.
I think they can save this show. I think how they would save this show is the marriage between, what's her name? The one that's married to the guy who's half Mormon, half Persian.
Emily.
Emily?
Yeah.
I want to see his family. I want to see him. And I want to see her family. Because I don't know why, but I get a Teresa when Joe and Judice and with their family drama. I just see something in that family because it hasn't been touched. And so that's where we need to go. We need to get off these other girls.
Well, I just saw you getting fired from casting for making that call. How about that? No. No, I don't necessarily know about that. But I think I'm most excited about seeing if V was right when she said that, you know, maybe this alcoholism or being an alcoholic part of the storyline ends up bleeding into us finding out exactly who this new special friend is or how they came about. That's
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
we're done with entanglements. We're done with that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dana, D, Ablavi, I appreciate you guys. We had 300 in the room. Thank you guys if you haven't hit like already. And no, we just covered OC. I can't believe an hour went by that fast. This is the first time I've actually enjoyed myself in 2 weeks and not felt super stressed. So thank you guys.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah.
It was fun.
All right. I love you guys. Bye.
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 All right. And guys, if you haven't already, again, please like this video and thank you all for the super chats and super stickers. Thank you, Jamie. If I missed you, I don't think I missed anyone. I hope not. I'm trying to be more aware. Jason's having champagne in the other room. You guys are the best. I love you guys. And don't forget, tomorrow we're doing Popping Off with Pops on Pop Culture. We missed last Friday because I was moving, so he has a lot to talk about. And he definitely needs Dana and Hermione to call in. He gets so excited. Grandma Scary, all of you, Jamal, Shan, all of us, just call in. It makes Pop's day. It makes my day. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye, guys.